I did not do announcements.
I want to make sure those that are on.
Oh, okay, there's a business meeting a staff meeting on Wednesday. Okay, so Wednesday at 6 o'clock, Wednesday, 31st of August.
Okay, so if anyone that's ahead of different departments, like you, kitchen, nursery, whatever, sound, band, trustees, and audio visual.
Okay. So ministry and representatives, trustees, the Hispanic ministry, treasurer, buildings and grounds, audio visual, the nursery, kitchen, and youth. If you're a part of that ministry, please see Isaiah. He should have a sheet for you with more details about the meeting on Wednesday, August 31st at 6 p.m.
And also, if you have something that you do in the church and I have left you out, I hope forgive me for that, but we haven't done this in a long, long time, and we don't have anybody's name as to what the ministry is. So if you're working and different jobs at the church, God has led you to this. So still, it's on Wednesday at 6. So please be here then, and we'll try to get things straight.
Okay. All right, so let's jump into the Bible. That's what we're here for. We are in 2 Timothy chapter 3. This is, when I started preparing for this, I guess I was a little ambitious because I said 1 through 16, and I don't think I'm going to get quite that far. After I started the first verse of 2 Timothy, an hour later, I said, okay, I'm not going to get all 16. Okay, so let's start off by reading God's word. But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. Have nothing to do with them. There's a lot to unpack there. There's some things that when Paul wrote this 2,000 years ago, words had different meanings than they do now. And if we look at different translations of the Bible, they're going to be different words. The English language is funny because we pack some words with emotional charges, and the meaning of words change all the time. So let's just try to calmly get through this. And nothing is meant to call out anybody in particular or ridicule anything. So we'll just try to be calm as we go through this. Okay. So when I was in high school at dear old Tecumseh High, taking chemistry class, I had a teacher that used to say, etch this in your mind with indelible ink. And when he said that, I focused on the next words that came out of his mouth, because I knew if he said, etch this in your mind with indelible ink, that it was going to be on the test. So I listen to what he said, I'd write it down. He let us know that he was going to say something really important next. Paul does the same thing to Timothy. What does Paul say to grab Timothy's attention?
And we're going to have rough times,
Well, no, before that. Timothy, or Paul, he says, know this, or but mark this, okay? He's making sure that Timothy's paying attention, because Paul has something really important to warn him about. He says, but mark this, or some verses, some translations say, but know this, that in the last days perilous times will come. What is meant by end days or last days that Paul says here? Okay. He's kind of got a short term, like all good Bible prophecy, there's a short-term picture and then there's a long-ranging picture. What does Paul mean in the short term? What are the end days short term for Paul? Yeah, he wasn't going to die. He was going to be put to death. I think there's a little difference between dying peacefully of natural causes in your sleep and being beheaded or thrown to the lions, whatever they were going to do. Being a Roman citizen, he would have gotten a quick death rather than being thrown to the lions like a common person would have been. Yeah, the end of life as he knew it. Okay. Quickly, violently, the end of his days. But he's also talking about, as Mr. Rhoda said, the end days when Christ returns. Paul is warning Timothy that the end days could be within days, within months, or it could be a long time from now. How long have we been looking towards the end days from Paul's writing?
About 2,000 years.
About 2,000 years. Coincidentally, so we've had 2,000 years of end days. How long is that? How long is 2,000 years?
A whole lot of days.
It's a whole lot of days. It's a blink of an eye in God's time. But if you think about it, the time from Abraham to Jesus is about the same length of time that we've had from Jesus's crucifixion to now. So we've gone from the beginning of one covenant age to Christ's crucifixion, the beginning of the second covenant, and we've gone about that same time frame. If God's got a timetable, we should be getting pretty close to the start of a third age, right? And that should really make us think about how we're using God's word, how we're sharing God's word, how we're living as examples. I drive past another church going to work, and it has a sign that says, I guess it's in New Carlisle. I think it was in New Carlisle. It says, you might be the only Bible that people read. So our examples, the way we live our lives when we're out in the community, that might be the only interaction that they have with a Christian. So we can either show them what a good, godly life looks like, or totally destroy a witness because we're driving like a road rage jerk and using foul language in public or whatever. So the way we live is going to impact other people.
And your attitude of mercy to them.
And our attitudes of mercy, yeah. So the end times are coming. We don't know when. It's supposed to come like a thief in the night. We don't know when, but we can be prepared for it. Well, that should not be the end of the slideshow. Kenny, help.
That's the end of the slideshow.
Oh, no. I'll be back in a minute.
One more.
Good morning, Brenda. How are you, dear? How are you?
I've been real depressed. Oh, don't be worried about you.
Well, don't worry, because God has got me in his hands and he's doing a great job. I have my moments. Sometimes I'm crying and I don't even know why. Tears are rolling down my face. I'm just sitting here. How many years were you and your husband together?
I was
61 years. That's 21 years.
depressed. I didn't go to the nursing home last night.
Yeah, I called and Rick said you were sleeping.
Yeah, it can be depressing, but hopefully, Lord willing, he's in a much better place where he needs to be with family that he can.
This brought him.
Oh, he was baptized years ago. He had joined the church years ago. And he had thought that when his wife had left him, the little girl, that God would answer his prayers and get him back together. That wasn't his answer, and I think he got angry at God for that. So every time I brought him to church, he would find something wrong.
Well, he would fall away.
And I said, exactly, one of those cigarettes definitely drives him away. He's been smoking since he was 16 years old.
But yeah, just trusting him.
That's one of the last things I said. I said, which path do you want to take?
It makes me sad to think about your grandchildren. It makes me sad to think about your grandchildren.
Austin asked about his grandpa. I named this surprisingly by saying, Grandpa's with Jesus now. And I raised her as long as I could in the church, but they go their way that they want to go. And Daddy not going to church, that kept them away. When the father's not fatherly, the children don't have a fatherly. Here to follow. They need the godly.
You don't look how much you will be talking to me.
But God has been good, Brenda. It's been good to
My
neighbors.
husband's calmed down now, he agrees with me.
Okay, I saved the wrong file to my thumb drive and I can't do what I had planned to do without it. So if you can take a coffee break for 5 minutes, I just live 3 blocks away. I'll run home, get it and bring it back. So I can't do what I want to do without it. So I apologize.
You stay safe, and I always pray that angels are inside and outside of the car and get you back safely. If
Okay.
you don't, we'll see you up there.
Okay, I will be back in 5 minutes.
It's okay. Yeah, gives it to you. Something, or maybe it was the wrong take, sometimes different things. Did you look beautiful this morning? Did you pick out your clothes, your dog? Hey, were you doing all pick out? They have to. Well, it's all like a, this reminds me of a leopard.
This thing has.
Huh, you can use wool like that.
Yeah.
It's very gentle. But this kind of looks like a leopard skin here, like the black with the leopard things in it. And then this is all black. And your necklace is gold and earrings is gold. Oh, and it has flowers in the back. You know what, years ago, we would never mix things like that. Remember? That you didn't put stripes and polka dots together or whatever. They blend in all kinds of things now. But they actually do it with such good taste, you don't realize it. For us, it didn't go together. Yeah. What we were taught. But yeah, you look absolutely beautiful.
Can
Yes.
Mel get to get her test done?
She's getting it done later today, actually.
Oh, good.
I didn't know they would do that on a Sunday.
I didn't either.
Now, a couple on my street got me and Amanda a bouquet of flowers, both of us a card that everybody signed. And they gathered up money, they brought it to Amanda's house. Because Amanda's house is catty-cornered like mine.
Yeah.
I haven't stayed at the house because my little bird's here to take care of him. But it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right because the children are gone and he's not home.
I've caught a lot of flies from the ribbons you gave me.
Good. And I told you that I had got some ribbons another time and they must have not had that stuff on to attract the flies.
No, my windows, I clean my window on the inside, and now it needs to be cleaned again, because all them flies we had.
Get the vacuum cleaner and suck them up. That's the best.
Yeah, I've got a little handheld vacuum cleaner.
That's the best way to get rid of them. Strips. Drop them on the now sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, we really had lost some, but the thing of it was is sometimes when you buy the strips, they don't put that chemical on there that's a hormone that smells like fire or whatever, and they go to it. And sometimes I bought and they didn't have anything because they forgot when they went to the assembly line to put that hormone in there. And then if you get one and hang it up and it starts out with flies or it runs, then you know the hormone is in there. That's like what I guess I just got a batch of napkins. So I bought some gray ones, give it to her, now they're working. So sometimes, you know, if you get something that's a dud, that's what it'll do, it'll be a dud. Yeah, the boss can drive you crazy. She had have the crack of the ceiling at the roof. You know, all the flies on that roof. They were coming out through that crack into the house. They stole the food too. Ceiling fell down and I really good. I'm so happy. Now my husband had to fix it. You know, we get tears on sides when he was standing behind that wall talking to me when I came in to talk to him. The house where you like you from. He was sorry he died, and so was Brian. Aw. But I think it gives Rick Brian a reality check. Yeah. It could be Rick. I don't look for him to live much longer. But he did, he had tears. He's got a lot of health problems. Yeah. And he came, the only time he came is when the children came. He was came a few times here. He would use one. Oh, I was so happy when all four of us came here, but it didn't last. But at least you had a little time. You got the trade on that. I told you this, and I wish my dad could see all of us in church. She said he does. We don't know what they see. I was told that the Bible does say, as a tree falls, so it is. Yes. So we just don't know. Well, I believe God is love, is good, and He lets us see all good things. If it's bad, I don't believe we're allowed to see it. Rick said Mom should have stayed with my dad. But did you tell him if she would have did that, he would have never met you? He would have never had Brian and Karen or you. He wouldn't have had all you. Like I told you, I didn't walk in her shoes. A lot of it was my dad's fault. He would listen to his mom and dad, and he'd go to them like a little boy, and they lived right next door to my grandma and grandpa. And she got so burned out with them, and when she left there, she never got to see them. She got burned out with them. Unfortunately, in a marriage, you have to put up with all kinds of things. And the outcome for both of them, I believe, would have been a lot better once his parents would have passed on. You and your mom and dad would have flourished, and no telling where that would have come. But we have free will. Our free will.
Well, she got married when she was 17.
That's another thing. Yeah, when you're a baby, you know, it makes a difference too.
But I'll tell you what, she's a good mother. Yeah, she gave me a lot of good advice, and I wouldn't have wanted my Aunt Dollar and I ain't either from Mother.
Y'all want to sit closer so you don't have to talk.
Oh, no, you're fine, you're fine.
You can talk all you want. You talk.
When I said close, you got me, I can hear the preacher. He talks too low. I just can't hear her. And I don't get much out of his sermon
You
either.
want one of the things in the back.
I got these.
She's gonna give brand new hearing aids.
I'm getting real McCoy tomorrow. Yes. But I'm going to come over to listen. I'm going to be late coming to the funeral.
But late is better than not at all. So then you're even tired to come over. There'll probably be a lot of people there who lose.
If I get an hour.
Yeah, listen, but the people from my work are coming. And, probably some of my neighbors will come. Yes, well, he kept himself.
Okay, I thought it didn't look right.
I'm thinking I might have a lot of them make the time.
I have mine, I'll take it.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry, Rachel.
Okay, there we go. And again, I apologize for that. Technology will let you down every time. Okay, so we talked about, no matter which version you're looking at, Paul attempts to grab Timothy's attention because he has something really important to tell him. Mark this or know this. This know also if you're into the King James twisted around version. But he wants to grab Timothy's attention because something really important is coming up. So that's how he grabs it. He says, he's sticking a flag in the language so that Timothy recognizes he needs to really pay attention. What terrible times are coming? Paul says terrible times are coming. What does he mean by terrible times?
Persecution.
Okay, persecution. Okay. Paul's saying, look what I'm going through because you're choosing to lead a godly life, because you're becoming a Christian. This might happen to you too. That's happening right now. So that's his near-term interpretation of terrible times. What are the terrible times coming later? Because remember, everything has a now interpretation and a long-range, far-away interpretation.
The world gets worse than what it was, and persecutes and it's probably going to kill all of us Christians.
Yeah,
Just like Hitler tried to kill all the, what was it?
the Jews,
Yeah,
the Jews, gypsies, homosexuals, cripples.
He
Yeah.
had you in him,
Yeah.
and he hated himself.
So,
Failures in our lifestyle.
so we're going to go through trials,
Yeah.
tough time. I mean, face it, it's easy to be a Christian right now, right? We're not actively being persecuted. Somebody might snicker at you at the lunchroom. It's becoming tougher and tougher, though. But we're not being actively persecuted or taking the trial or anything. But it's getting tougher. But Paul's also talking about the tribulations that we're going to go through in the book of Revelation, with stars falling out of the sky, water being polluted, animals dying, all this stuff.
And actually, it's happening. Bad water pollution. It's here.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse.
Yep, it's already started. Okay, so we started to talk about what does he mean by the last days. We're talking about near term. Paul's being put to death. We're also talking about Christ's second coming. Okay, that's where I dropped off. Okay. So, and again, when I read that the time between Abraham and the first covenant to Christ's crucifixion, resurrection, is roughly the same time that we've had from Christ's crucifixion, resurrection till now. So if we're coming to an end of an age, that would kind of be a likely timetable. So we have to pick up our efforts to share the gospel. Okay, so Paul goes into a long litany of people to watch out for, right? People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. That's a long list of people to watch out for, right? How many terms are up there? Or how many terms are in your Bible? How many? I'll make it easy. My Bible had 19 people to watch out for, 19 descriptions of people to watch out for. Okay. Some Bibles will have different words for some of the terms, and but mine had 19. That's a lot to look out for, right? That's a lot of behaviors to watch out for. What do some of these mean, though? Okay, lovers of themselves. We think of that as narcissism. Narcissism is a degree of self-involvement to where nobody else's concerns matter. And usually think of somebody going on, like Muhammad Ali, I'm the greatest, right? There's a little more to it than that. There's actually 4 different types of narcissism. You have the first type, the grandiose version, and that's, I'm the greatest, and I don't care about anybody else. That's one type. This is your classic arrogant person, self-centered. The other ones are a little bit sneakier. We have the malignant narcissist. I will do whatever it takes to get what I want. They're not as flashy as I'm the greatest, I'm the best at whatever. These are the ones that sneakily do things behind the scenes to get what they want. They don't do anything for your benefit. At least the first narcissist, you can ride on their coattails, and it's exciting and fun because you're on the fringe of greatness.
Like a
These-
superstar, like
Pardon?
a movie star or something.
Yeah,
The suckers to that type of a person.
yeah.
This is a sneaky person.
Yeah, number 2 is, I think, the scariest one. The third kind is the covert narcissist. And this is the person that blames society for everything. I could have been a successful fill in the blank, but society happened and it didn't let me do this. So they're the ones that are always painting themselves as a victim, but they're making it all about me. They're deeply self-absorbed, and these individuals feel chronically victimized. I could have been, but something happened, or I would have been, only this happened, or somebody interfered with my plans, and so I couldn't. But it's always about them. It's always self-centered.
We're blaming their parents for.
Or their mother.
Blaming their parents, yes.
A lot of us, poor mom gets it.
Yeah, that's because dad was never home, right? Or
A lot
dad
of
is
us,
absent
society
from the
just like to use a mom.
Well, I came from a 2-parent family, but my father was always working. So I tell people I'm a better cook than I am a mechanic because I spent more time in the kitchen with my mother than I did.
Meant to be a chef.
Yeah. So I eat 3 times a day, and my car breaks down once every 5 years. So I think I got the better end of the deal.
Well, you can always go to the mechanic.
Yeah. The fourth one is a relatively new term. It's called the communal narcissist. And I think with the rise of social media, we're seeing a lot more of this. And this is the person who becomes involved in social issues for the appearance of caring or doing something. I see this on Facebook all the time. Here I am dressed up at the gala ball with $1,000 a plate meals to help homeless people. And yet when they walk to their car, they'll pass the person begging for change because it's beneath them. So again, they dress up, take pictures, promote themselves as being caring people. But the people that they're really trying to help are beneath them. They really don't care. They're just about bringing the attention to
That's
themselves.
what they call that, a facade, like it's.
It's just a
The
facade.
wolf in sheep's clothing kind of.
Yeah, yeah. So they even seem to lack the empathy for the people that they're trying to help. They'll walk past a homeless person without dropping $1 in their little cup, but yet they'll go to these fancy dinners and pay a lot of money to be seen. So kind of scary. Narcissists are scary people. Okay.
Makes them look good.
In today's environment, there's yet another definition of lover of themselves. And we're hesitant to read out loud because we could anger people, but if you read up there, this is another form of narcissism because you're loving a reflection of yourself.
Which I've never seen it that way.
This isn't really very popular thought because
I mean, it hits the hammer right on the head of the nail, but it never came to my mind that.
there's a whole nature versus nurture debate, genetics thing, but that in some camps, that's a very good thought. Okay. Paul continues on to say lovers of money. If you have an older translation, it'll say covetous. And I thought really interesting, the word covetous comes from the Greek word lover of money. And one person I thought of who loved silver more than other people, there was a really good example in the Bible, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. He loved silver more than other people. Oh, what was his name? 30 pieces of silver. I'm drawing a blank.
That was the one that persecuted, that turned in Jesus.
Yeah, that guy. What was it? Judas. Yeah, that was his name.
I haven't had enough coffee.
Apparently no one else has either. Nathan got it. He was laughing. Yeah, that is somebody who, so everybody says money is the root of all evil. If you look in the Bible, really the verse is the love of money. Okay. It's an unfortunate fact of life. We have to work, we have to earn money to put a roof over our heads, we have to have a car to get ourselves to work. Money's not really evil. It's when you love the money more than you care with what you can do with it. Okay. We can also go to an extreme. If I gave away every penny that I had and lost my house, I'm not going to be able to do a lot of good in the world. If I lose, if I give out all my money and can't make a car payment, the bank repossesses my car, I can't get to work. I mean, I could walk here, but so giving away all of our money can also be a problem. So it's not really the money that's the problem, it's the love of money. When you love money more than the good that can be done.
Survive, but that doesn't mean we have to hoard every penny that we get.
Right.
Or lie or deceive to get it, or steal or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So covetous, that word, it comes from loving silver, the lover of silver. There's a couple really good verses about the dangers of coveting, right? 10 Commandments, real strong there. Exodus 20, verse 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maid servant, nor his ox, his ass, or any other thing that is thy neighbor's. What is the problem with coveting?
It's stealing.
Okay, I have written up there, I had a friend that used to say, liking leads to loving, loving leads to stealing. Okay, and what does stealing lead to? Think about it, stealing could lead to murder because You know, you try to take something of mine, I'm gonna defend it. So it could actually lead to murder. That's, you know, even if it's not a physical murder, it's anger and hate, which is considered anger, which is considered murder. But really, what is the deep down problem with coveting? Why did Moses warn us, or why did God give Moses the words to let us know how dangerous coveting is? Okay? Right, you're basically saying, God didn't give me what I deserve. Right? That's what you said, yeah. God didn't give me enough. God didn't give me the house that I deserve. God didn't give me the fancy car that I deserve. God didn't give me the 6 foot tall, 6-pack abs, strapping husband I deserve. God didn't give me the beautiful wife that I deserve. That's what coveting says. That's why there's so many warnings about coveting. Okay, he continues on. Boastful. What is boastful?
Right.
Arrogant, a braggart. What is the problem with bragging? I'm a pretty good cook. What's the harm in that, right?
And you're acting like you're better than God because you can cook good.
Because
Better than say your neighbor that can't boil water.
I'm taking credit for something that God gave me, right?
That's right.
That's where the problem comes from. There's many, boastful's such a problem. There's many verses that warn against bragging, boasting. James 4:16, but now ye rejoice in your boastings, all such rejoicing is evil, because you're taking credit for something that God has done, a gift that God has given you. Ephesians, this was the one that jumped out. For by grace are ye saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is a gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. Right there, taking credit for something that God has given us that we don't deserve. And I thought Proverbs 25, verse 14 was kind of funny. Whosoever boasts in himself is like a cloud or the wind without rain. It's empty. It's an empty promises. Okay, so we have boastful, we have proud. What is pride? What does it mean to be proud? In a bad sense, you know.
You're better than everybody else.
Yeah, you're putting yourself above someone else. A lot of times, like if you go the narcissistic route, you're destroying somebody else to make yourself look better. Unfortunately, I'm going through a situation like that at one of my jobs. We have one manager that comes in and just tears the other manager down to make herself look better. And it's creating a very ugly situation.
It just shows how bad of a person she really is.
Yeah, and it's causing issues with the other employees, and it's just awful. Melvin?
You're describing what goes on in bush reports about that.
Exactly, and actually that's one of the struggles I had creating this, was I didn't want to look like I was pointing fingers at one political party or another, because, as I'm going to point out earlier, I had intentions of having pictures for all of these, and I thought, I'm just going to get in trouble, so no pictures. Okay, so pride, abusive. What is abusive? What does it mean to be abusive?
It could be verbally or physically putting something because someone has low self-esteem onto another person.
Yeah, so it can be verbal abuse, it can be physical abuse, it can be emotional abuse. Yeah. Oh, it's nice that you came this Sunday, but you're wearing that. Little things like that. Oh yeah, I saw you at church today, but I noticed you were sitting way in the back. Just those little digs like that can destroy somebody. So we have to be careful what we say, how we say it, who we say it to. Emotional, physical, verbal, abusive can be bad. Okay, disobedient to their parents. We see that make a case study going to Walmart or Meijer or Kroger or wherever you shop, right? We could go back again to the 10 Commandments, right? Exodus 20, verse 12. Honor thy mother and thy father so that the years upon this earth will be long. It's the first commandment with a condition, right? If you want to have a long life, you have to honor your parents. Now, it's true, some people get a bad roll of the dice in life and have crappy parents. But biblically, we're supposed to honor them. You don't have to like them, you don't have to love them, but you're supposed to honor them. Okay, ungrateful. What is ungrateful?
Having everything, not showing any gratitude to God for it.
Okay, that is, according to the Barnes commentary that Pastor Nathan let me borrow, which was amazing. Barnes says that ingratitude has always been considered one of the worst crimes. Okay, this goes hand in hand with boasting, right? You're taking credit for something that was God-given and not giving God the proper credit. So who is this really a crime against?
God.
Yeah, I mean, you can be ungrateful to me if I give you something and you don't say thank you. Jerk. I was trying to be nice and you're a jerk, right? But really, it's a crime. It's not a crime against me. It's a crime against God. You're not giving thanks for something that was given to you, especially if you don't deserve it. Like our grace. If you're not grateful for the grace that God's extended to us, I think Barnes said that ingratitude is a sign of religion in decline. We're just going downhill because we're no longer thanking God for anything. The less grateful we are, the less we're showing God how much we appreciate what He's done for us in every facet of our life. Grace, having another chance to draw a breath, having a chance to go home to the Father, everything. If we're not showing gratitude for everything, we're just, you have that curve and it just goes on and on and on and gets smaller and smaller. So ingratitude goes hand in hand with boasting and pride, and it just gets worse and worse as we go on. Okay, then we go on to unholy. Something that's holy is something that is set apart for God. So what is something that's unholy? What does unholy mean?
God would definitely be in holiness is hollow ground.
Yeah. So like I'm careful, I never bring my ESOL classes in here because I feel like this is set apart for godly things. I'm teaching them English. I'll bring them in and say, okay, this is our sanctuary, but I don't conduct classes in here because I believe this area is set apart for God. What areas of our life are we just flooded with unholy things? Our entertainment, that's the first thing I thought of, okay? Music on the radio, TV shows, movies, books, children's books. You should see the list of banned books from the books that are banned or challenged in our public schools. We are constantly being bombarded by unholy things. Okay. Pardon?
I thought it died for a second.
Yeah. So, okay, and Paul continues on without love. Paul is big on talking about love, right? He wrote that, love is patient, love is kind. What does it mean to be without love?
My word, there's heartless.
Heartlessness, yeah, that's a good term for it, heartlessness, okay? What does that look like in today's society?
No compassion.
Nobody has compassion for anyone anymore, okay? There's so many political issues that we could bring up where it is because of a heartlessness or a lack of compassion. There's just the overall coarsening of our society shows our lack of compassion, our lack of heart, lack of heart. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. That's all
God
getting
is
thrown out.
love.
Yeah, I mean, God is supposed to be love, and when we are without love, we're showing that we're without God.
People think of themselves only.
Yeah.
And make yourself as a God, that's the problem.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so that goes hand in hand with boasting and pride and ingratitude without love. A lot of these are interconnected. And it really makes you think of how some behaviors just blossom and affect other areas of your life. Okay. Next one was unforgiving. What is unforgiving?
You can't be forgiven if you don't know how to forgive. Because if you can't forgive someone, then who are you?
Yeah. Yeah, if we don't forgive others, we're not.
And God forgives us for everything if we ask. So if He's pure love and He could do that, and we're of Him, we need to show forgiveness.
And it's kind of interesting how this unforgiving ties back to being without love, being proudful. You hurt me too bad. I can't forgive that. All of these are so intermingled and intertwined and interrelated.
They all seem to point to self-centeredness,
And we go back to the lover of self. Okay. If you love yourself so much, you hurt me, and I can't forgive you. That's because I'm letting my feelings, my emotions, my care for myself affect the relationship with you. And if I let my relationship with you affect that, what does that say about my relationship with God? It's pretty much non-existent, as Isaiah said. Okay, slanderous. What is slanderous? Everybody gets slanderous and libel mixed up, but we're going to talk about
When you
So-
badmouth people.
when you badmouth people. Yeah, well, I've got that $5 definition up there, but we'll go with Brenda. So you badmouth somebody, okay? Thanks, Brenda. It's talking poorly about somebody, running somebody down, okay? Do we have this prevalent in our society right now? Oh, it used to be, if you were lucky, you just had your name and something bad about you written on the bathroom wall in the high school, and it stayed in your high school, right? Now, somebody writes something bad about you on TikTok or Facebook or something, and it goes around the world in about 3 heartbeats.
People kill themselves over that, especially the young.
Yeah, and young kids are killing themselves because they're so shamed in such a large area so quickly.
And it definitely could be false. You don't know whether it's true or not. Kind of the telephone game, but in this case, the computer is the world. So the world will persecute you like Jesus. And some people, especially the young, can't take that persecution.
Yeah, it used to be you'd write something bad about somebody on the bathroom wall, and 2 days later, the janitor would clean it off, and you got teased on it for a couple of days, and then it was over. But now, if it's on the computer, if it's on the cell phones, it's forever.
It's never erased.
And it's never erased, and you can't live it down, and kids kill themselves over it.
Probably
Okay.
some adults as well. I don't know, probably.
Oh, and by the way, if we go back to Exodus, it's one of the 10 commandments, right? Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. We've hit 3 or 4 of the 10 commandments already in this section. Okay. Continuing on, slanders. Without self-control. What is self-control?
One of the fruits of the spirit,
One of the fruits of the Spirit. Oh, I didn't get that. Good job, Kenny.
but it's also being self-explanatory. It's controlling your actions, your thoughts.
Yeah, okay. Do we have an issue with that right now?
Oh,
The world's out of control.
The world is out of control. Everybody wants instant gratification now, right? Nobody puts off anything. That's why credit card debts are screaming out of control. Obesity, drug abuse, alcoholism, everybody wants everything right now. Showing they have adultery, nobody has any self-control. Melvin,
That's why Jesus emphasized the fact that, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. I know a situation now where the church is split, and they will not walk in the church. I mean, neither side will give it.
Yeah.
And,
actually, we got a term from them, for them, a couple slides from ahead of now. Excellent segue. But yeah, you would think the one place that you would be safe from that kind of behavior would be a church. But as Melvin was saying, they're having a church split and the people won't even talk to, the people on either side won't talk to each other. Church should be the one place we're safe from that kind of stuff.
Devil sticks his toe in the door every Sunday.
Yeah. Melvin, were you finished? I didn't mean to cut you off. Okay. No, that's not true. Okay. So we have without self-control. What about brutal? What about brutal?
just one more thought, the lessons that, Nathan involves on the law.
Mhm.
The law was made for those who will not control themselves.
Okay, the law was made for those who cannot control themselves.
But
Okay,
the law is bending more towards evil now than it was for the righteous. It's bending.
yeah, the righteous have always been able to follow the law the best we can, but we still need Christ because we can't follow all of them.
I'm
But
talking about the world's law, where at one time it was more right. Now the wrong has taken over the right laws.
Yeah.
They're turning the laws
Yeah.
towards the evil instead of laws toward God of the world.
I have neighbors across the street that like to play their stereo really loud. And I thought, when did society become to the point where their right to play their stereo really loud supersedes my right to have a nice quiet evening?
Yes.
And that's
There's
just,
supposed to be a noise regulation out now, but I don't know if they abide by it. There's
Yeah.
supposed to be one. But do you think the law's gonna come and tell them to turn it down? And if they did, they're gonna target you because they know that you don't like it.
and that has happened, yeah. So we're getting away from self-control. So going back to brutal, what is brutal? I have a couple of phrases up there.
I think of a gang as brutal.
Okay,
Because they even have their gang members kill people just to become, and it doesn't matter who they kill, but they gotta go kill somebody to become a member of that gang.
yeah, this life in general is getting harsher, yeah. Harsh, ungentle, severe. We have people just running up to other people and hitting them, shooting them with pellet guns because there's a TikTok challenge that says it's really cool to videotape you hitting people from behind, shooting them with paintball pellets and put in the freezer so it leaves a welt more. People are just becoming brutal because that's the next phase of entertainment. It's hurting people. And that just shows the decline of our civilization and how far we're getting away from God.
Kind of like if it's not my way, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Yeah.
take
And it's a form of narcissism because my entertainment is more important than your self-being, your sense of security. We have people attacking Asian people just because they're Asian. It's awful.
I haven't heard that, but I can believe it in this world. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's right after COVID. There were lots of people targeting Asian people and
They
targeting,
believe the COVID came from.
yeah,
this.
yeah, that was the basis of it, but there, you know, the conspiracy theory is that it was created in China, but some of these people are so ignorant, they can't tell a Chinese person from a Vietnamese person, so they see skin color and eye shape, and they attack them. So, but that just shows, you know, the brutality, the lack of self-control, the lack of love.
And even if the government did have them do it, the government is not all the people.
Yeah,
There's
so
good
I'm
and
not gonna
bad
get into the
always.
conspiracy of COVID, but,
But I'm saying there's good and bad of all people, and even if that did happen, if the government did do that, not all people are to blame for that. Just like if our government did something here to another country or somewhere, it wouldn't be necessarily mine or your fault, but the government itself, somebody way at the top that could do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't apparently follow God.
okay, and lovers, not lovers of the good. What does that mean? They're not lovers of the good.
Or that,
Our justice system has failed in the United States.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so,
I think that's not appreciating, fact and not appreciating the good stuff God's giving you, or the good stuff God does.
and yeah, it's not appreciating the good stuff that God has given for us. There's so many verses about love. Romans 12:9, love must be sincere, hate what is evil, cling to what is good. Surround yourself with other godly people, right? That's kind of what Timothy, or Paul is telling Timothy, love what is good, seek out other godly people, and avoid those that are ungodly, okay? Christ is talking to his disciples about loving your enemies. But love your enemies, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing again. And your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest, for he is kind unto the unfaithful and to the evil. Love your enemies, okay? That's how they become your friends. Let your Christian witness to your enemies be the Bible that they read. Let that be their introductory lesson into the Bible. So love good, surround yourself with godly people, and act for the good of others so that they can see God reflected in you.
Jesus went to the lowly because those lowly did not know of God.
Right.
If you were born into a family that was druggers or cult people or whatever, you would not know what love was. You would only be taught hate and evil. And those are the people that are away from God that need to know that God is love and to know what love is.
Yeah.
Because they've never had it.
That's why he ate with the tax collectors, because they were the ones that needed it the most. They were the ones that would profit from his message.
They went to heaven because of him.
Yeah. Okay. And man, it seems like we're going to go on forever, right? He goes on to treacherous. What is treachery?
Tricky? Is that like
Tricking?
people?
Yeah, being tricky. In the Barnes commentary, he calls them implacable. They can't be satisfied. They're never satisfied with any kind of agreement. You know, hey, you want this, I want that, we'll meet in the middle. Nope, not good enough.
It's my
Or-
way or the highway.
Yeah, okay, your property line ends here, but, so, this is, but then they kind of creep over and take up a little bit more of your yard, that kind of thing.
They use trickery.
They're using trickery, deceit, but they're not satisfied. We agreed on this. We agreed that this is the property line, but you gotta, you set up your picnic table just right on the edge, so I know you're, never satisfied. There's a lot of pictures I could have put up there for treachery, but,
Kind of like Cain and Abel in a way.
okay, Cain and Abel, that was a good one. He used trickery to get his father's blessing, put the animal skin on his arm, so his father thought he was his hairy older brother. That's treachery right there. Bible's full of examples of treachery. This goes along with the narcissism and the self-love. What I have isn't in coveting. What I have isn't good enough. I want some of yours.
For all of yours.
All of yours, yeah. There was a song called by They Might Be Giants, and it said, "I don't want the world, I just want your half." I thought that was excellent. Treachery. Okay, rash. What is rash? We're not talking about skin diseases, but what is rash?
It
Where's-
spreads. It spreads.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this spreads too, but what do we mean by rash here in this kind of idea?
Not thinking things through, mine says reckless.
Reckless, headstrong, leaping before you look, those are all good. And when one person's in a rush, that kind of nervous energy gets other people around them, get caught up in the frenzy, and you just start doing things, and pretty soon one person being agitated creates other people being agitated, and then you eventually get a mob, right?
Kind of like the Cabbage Patch Dolls. Everybody went crazy over a doll even killing people.
Yeah,
Over a
yeah, people
doll.
getting hurt and stored and all that, yeah. So rashness, being headstrong, rushing into things, that's dangerous, that gets you in trouble. Conceited. What does conceited look like? What is conceited?
Think about yourself only, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Having an overinflated vision of yourself, puffed up, inflated sense, kind of circles back around to narcissism, self-love. Yep. And lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. What kind of pleasures are we talking about here?
Lustful ones.
Lustful pride. Okay, lustful pleasures, drugs, alcohol, gambling.
Hedonism, just anything that would just pleasure.
Okay, hedonism, good term, hedonism, just the love of, the pursuit of pleasure. Okay, overeating. I love good food. That's one of my, like I said, I can check off almost every one of these.
Comfort food.
Comfort food, yeah, we need to eat, but eating too much, eating the wrong things, that pleasure has gotten in the way of a lot of things for me. Okay, lust, drugs, alcohol, gambling, shopping, hoarding. There's so many pleasures. A lot of them have a basis in something that's good, but carried out to an extreme. Why is it bad? Why is being a lover of pleasure bad?
Putting all that before God.
Because we're putting all that before God. Some pleasures, or the taking of these pleasures to extremes, replaces God. Takes our mind off of God, replacing God, like Isaiah said. There's a danger to taking anything into an extreme. Kenny's a wonderful musician. I loved when you came here and played. I hope you play some other time. But if that's all you did, other areas of your life would be affected. How can you say anything bad about a man who plays gospel music in front of, and witnesses in front of crowds? If it's taken to an extreme, it becomes bad. Your family life suffers. Work could suffer. So anything, even if it has a good basis, can be overtaken to the point where it becomes an idol, okay? There's probably nothing wrong with watching a football game on Sunday. But I got into a fantasy football league, and it absolutely took over my life. Saturday I was watching college games so I could see the future stars who were going to be in next year's draft. I spent all Sunday afternoon after church. I never missed church for football, but I spent all afternoon watching football games. I spent Monday night watching football games. I spent Thursday night watching football. It became too much. It took my mind off of God. Okay, then he can conclude saying, have nothing, like, says, they have a form of godliness, but deny its power. Having a form of godliness, but denying its power. What does that mean? What does it mean to have a form of godliness, Kenny?
Mine says appearance of godliness.
An appearance of godliness. What does an appearance of godliness look like?
They, angel.
Melvin?
Sheep clothing.
A wolf in sheep's clothing. Man, I wish I would have thought of that when I was writing this. Okay,
Well,
so
make believe.
the person who goes to church on Sunday puts their Bible in the trunk of their car and doesn't look at it again or think a godly thought until next Sunday.
Doesn't pray.
Somebody that doesn't pray, somebody that knows doctrine and can quote it back to you, but doesn't follow it in their personal life. Someone who uses Christian cliches all the time. I'll tell you my least favorite cliche. This is the one, don't ever use it to me because it'll turn Mr. Hand into Mr. Fist, as some people say. God will only give you what you can handle. I hate that one because I can turn around and say, so if I was a less strong person, this horrible thing in my life would not have happened. That is not what God is trying to do. So I hate that. Don't ever say that. If I was a weaker person, my mother wouldn't have died. If I was a weaker person, I wouldn't have lost my job. I hate that. So please don't ever say that to me. Don't ever say it in front of me because I'll call you out on it. But those kind of, and bless their heart, that kind of stuff. That is the kind of cliche that Paul is warning about. And somebody that follows Christian traditions without just going through the motions. Oh yeah, I'm a Christian. I celebrate Christmas. I give gifts on Christmas, but you don't live a Christian life the other 364 days. Or yeah, I was baptized back when I was a kid. But you're not living a Christian life now. So those are the kind of things that give the appearance of being a Christian, being a wolf in sheep's clothing. Man, I wish I would have had that up here, Melvin. What did Christ say about this having the form or the appearance of being a Christian? What did Christ say about it?
Hypocrites.
Hypocrites? Oh, he goes off on them, right? Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside and are empty, but on the inside are full of bones of the dead and everything unclean. That's a stinging remark, right? If somebody said that to me, you're a whitewashed tomb, you're full of dead things and you're empty inside. Oh, that would cut me to the quick, right? So what does this person look like? What does a person that meets all these look like, right?
Look like other people.
When I started this PowerPoint, I did PowerPoint because I wanted to have pictures. I was like, okay, got to be careful so I don't offend anybody, or maybe I'll try to offend everybody equally so that nobody can really complain because, well, yeah, he had a picture of the Capitol Hill takeover, but he had Black Lives Matters pictures. So I decided not to have a picture because I had one picture that kept coming up in my head. I was like, at some point, it's a handheld mirror. At some point in my life, I have, up until yesterday, I'm sure, I have been one of those people. We have to be really careful that we don't point out fingers to everybody else and not think that that's us. So
All sinners.
we're all sinners. We continue to sin. And if it weren't for the grace of God, we would have absolutely no chance. So how do I change that? How do I make sure I'm not one of these people that Paul's warning about?
Stay in the Word.
Pardon?
Stay in the Word.
Stay in the Lord. Stay in his word. Follow his word.
Look at God and not be looking at yourself.
Look towards God. Keep my eyes on God and not on man. Okay. We're out of time, and that was a good stuff. How does Paul conclude this? Stay away from them. Have nothing to do with them. But yet we're supposed to go out and share the word, share the gospel, share our witness. Don't avoid them totally, but don't become wrapped up with them. Okay? Share the word, share the gospel. We've had as much time from Abraham to Christ as Christ to us now. We're coming to those last days. We don't know when it's going to be. We're not supposed to know when it's going to be, but we have to act like it's coming tomorrow. If you'll please join me in a word of prayer, we'll close this out. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your word to guide us and to prompt us to share your word and to witness to others. We pray for Pastor Nathan as he brings us the message this morning. And please look into our hearts and know the unspoken joys and concerns that we have. And just thank you for the salvation that we have in your Son. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen. All right, thank you, everyone. And next week, Pastor Nathan will be back.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.